And from the pages of my daily news analysis website, MikeHuckabee.com, which is, by the way, free, you can sign up for it, come these stories. When the whistleblower story broke this week, it was ridiculously short on specifics, but hey, that didn't stop the anti-Trump media from speculating wildly on what motivated what whistleblower to blow the whistle on what highly inappropriate thing Trump had promised to what foreign leader during what phone call and what the reason was for not sharing details with Congress. Of course, reporters salivated over the wisp of a story, and why not? They tend to know precious little about other things they report. President Trump pushed back pretty forcefully on the story. Is anybody, and I quote him, he says, is anybody dumb enough to believe that I would say something inappropriate with a foreign leader while on such a potentially heavy populated call? I would only do what's right anyway and only do good for the USA, end quote. You see, presidents usually have tremendous leeway in what they say in conversations with foreign leaders. Certainly, we never hear the content of most of those conversations. Recall that if it hadn't been for the accident of an open microphone, we never would have heard then President Barack Obama conveying a message to Vladimir Putin by way of the outgoing Russian president that he'd have, quote, more flexibility, end quote, after the election to negotiate a defense issue. Now imagine if that had been Trump, overheard saying something like that. The Washington Post now reports the what story may involve the Ukraine. Now, you may remember Joe Biden's bragging last year about threatening to pull a loan guarantee from the Ukrainian government unless they fired the prosecutor who happened to be investigating a company that had his son Hunter on its board of directors. By the way, that happened while Joe Biden was vice president. And yet the news media have shown very little curiosity about it. So was President Trump seeking help from the Ukrainian government to find out what Biden and his son were doing? And if so, was that inappropriate? And does Congress necessarily get to know about this? Under the Constitution, is it their business? Former Deputy Assistant Attorney General John Yoo told Fox News' Shannon Bream Thursday night that under the statute covering this situation, the Director of National Intelligence has an obligation to let Congress know about a complaint if it is, quote, something of urgent concern and within the DNI's jurisdiction. Now, if the rumor that this is about Biden and his son, if that's correct, and at this time of this show we don't know yet, then President Trump is conducting personal diplomacy that is not within the jurisdiction of the DNI. President Trump doesn't work for the DNI, John Yoo pointed out. The DNI works for President Trump. And by the way, the president doesn't work for Congress either. And Congress does not have the constitutional power to make public or interfere with what the president wants to say to the president of Ukraine or any other country. A New York Times update stated, quote, though it is not clear exactly how Ukraine fits into the allegations, questions have already emerged about Mr. Trump's dealing with its government. He spoke on July 25th with Ukraine's president and said that he was convinced their new government would quickly improve the country's image and investigate corruption which inhibited the interaction between the two nations. Mr. Trump's close allies, including his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, were also urging the Ukrainian government to investigate matters that maybe could help Mr. Trump by embarrassing his political rivals, including Joseph R. Biden Jr. There it is. Adam Schiff and willing accomplices in the press want to get Trump on allegations of using foreign officials to go after his political opponent. I mean, didn't Hillary Clinton actually do that? But Rudy Giuliani, in an interview Thursday night with Laura Ingraham, said this story points to the corruption of the Ukrainian system and of Joe Biden, not the president. President Trump was encouraging the Ukrainian government president to investigate very serious allegations of corruption. As for Biden, we've known for 2 years that he threatened to withhold a $1.2 billion loan guarantee from the Ukrainian president, that is, unless he fired a certain prosecutor, who, by the way, happened to be investigating Biden's son for accepting millions of dollars from a corrupt Ukrainian oligarch. Sounds like outright bribery to me. I wonder, where was the New York Times on that? And this question is key. Should Joe Biden, like Hillary, be immune from investigation and prosecution just because he might be the Democrat candidate for president? I'm going to leave you with Giuliani's words concerning the money. There was $5 million from Ukraine to Latvia to Cyprus to Joe Biden's little crazy company he had, which follows $1.5 billion that went into the same company from China. The partners in that company are Joe Biden's son, John Kerry's son, actually his stepson, Chris Hines, and mobster Whitey Bulger's nephew. I didn't make that up. Now, there's a story with plenty of specifics. I'll second what Giuliani said. How do they not cover this? Good question, Rudy. All right, let's see what is on your mind. We have this from Tom in South Carolina. He says he's trying to come to grips with the attack on Saudi Arabian oil fields and Iran's ongoing threat to the flow of oil to the West. Is there any winning solution for the West, as well as oil producers in the Middle East, since Iran is always ready to attack its fellow Muslim neighbors? Simple answer is this. We in America better be really, really glad that we are now energy independent. We better be glad that we've been drilling and fracking so that we have our own fuel and we don't have to depend upon the Saudis or anybody to have fuel to run our country. Because of that, we are still a free country and we don't have to worry as much about what's happening in the Middle East. But we do need to be concerned about it. The attack of Iran on Saudi Arabia was not an attack on us, and I think the president was very wise not to engage in military action against Iran for something that was done to another country, not a NATO affiliate. That was smart on his part, and it did show an extraordinary level of restraint. But should we maybe help out the Saudis by loaning them some weapons, let them do their own work? Maybe that's a good idea. Let's keep in mind, there's no pure players in the Middle East. Just understand that. Nobody is absolutely with clean hands. But we do know this. Only the Iranians have threatened to wipe Israel and the United States off the face of the map and continually pours openly money into every terrorist group they can who will be willing to attack American servicemen or our close ally Israel. Not the Saudis, not the Emiratis, not the Qataris. No, it's the Iranians. And there's as much battle going on between the Sunnis of Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, other of the Middle Eastern nations, and the Shiites of Iran. That's where the real battle is. Keep your eyes on it. But thank God every night that we are drilling our own oil and are energy independent. And if those come along who say we're going to get rid of fossil fuel, you're basically going to get rid of America and its freedom. Just remember that. All right, here is one from a happy California expatriate and asked this question. What in the world happened to Kamala Harris? She went from the darling of the debate #1 to the free-falling star. She's even losing the Democratic presidential nomination in her home state of California. I remember telling people that I thought Kamala Harris might have one of the best chances of being the nominee after the first debate. Then came the second debate. And Tulsi Gabbard basically popped her balloon, and she has not recovered. So Kamala Harris has got a long way to go. She could still be in it, but she clearly had a faltering answer and a lack of an answer in that second debate. And in the meantime, Elizabeth Warren is attracting 20,000 people in rallies in New York. Finally, we get this from Donna in Illinois. She's got a question about the ever-present Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She states, quote, AOC just endorsed a challenger to 8-term Democratic Congressman Dan Lipinski of Illinois. He has fought for Democratic issues like lowering health care costs and controlling pollution. Are the real issues here that he does not support socialist positions and he has a long-standing commitment to protecting the unborn? Well, let me just tell you something. There is obviously no room in the Democratic Party these days for somebody who is pro-life, as is Dan Lipinski. And it seems a little odd that you have members of Congress who are going out to defeat members of their own party. But everybody knows I'm a Republican, so I don't care. All right, we want to hear from you. You can send your questions, your comments, your critiques to my2cents@tbn.tv. That is the number 2 in my 2 cents. I hope to hear from you. By the way, finally, a shout out from my Twitter page that I hope you will follow, @GovMikeHuckabee. West Virginia Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, he is a genuine friend of mine, and he's an all-around good guy. He truly is. I want to thank him for telling Beto O'Rourke that he would not be taking his rifle away from him. And an even bigger thanks, Senator, for standing up for your vote for Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh and pointing out that all the new hubbub about the judge's appointment was just election year rhetoric. May your honesty and straightforward way become the hallmark for your party. Well, until next time, these have been the facts of the matter. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, then subscribe, and hit the notification bell below. Now, if you didn't like it, you ought to find a Ben Shapiro video to detox you with more facts.